গৌরবরবি কীর্তিমান এসো প্রেমময় নিগমানন্দ গৌরবরবি কীর্তিমান হৃদয় মন্দিরে উঠো জাগিয়া প্রেমময়া তব মূরতি খান আমার হৃদয় মন্দিরে উঠো জাগিয়া প্রেমময়া তব মূরতি খান অভয় চরণে প্রণমি আমরা তব অভয় চরণে প্রণমি আমরা তব অভয় চরণে প্রণমি আমরা কর হে মোদের আশীষ দান তব অভয় চরণে প্রণমি আমরা কর হে মোদের আশীষ দান এসো প্রেমময় নিগমানন্দ গৌরবরবি কীর্তিমান এসো প্রেমময় নিগমানন্দ গৌরবরবি কীর্তিমান এসো জ্ঞানবান এসো গুণবান এসো জ্ঞানবান এসো গুণবান বিপুল বিদ্যা কৃপা নিধান এসো জ্ঞানবান এসো গুণবান বিপুল বিদ্যা কৃপা নিধান এসো প্রেমময় নিগমানন্দ গৌরবরবি কীর্তিমান এসো প্রেমময় নিগমানন্দ গৌরবরবি কীর্তিমান গৌরবরবি কীর্তিমান। জয় গুরু। জয় গুরু। লুহা ঝরি গলা আখিরে আখিরে চরণ ধৌত পাই লুহা ঝরি গলা আখিরে আখিরে চরণ ধৌত পাই মন জଳି গলা বিদন নিয়ারে তুম আগমন চাহি মন জଳି গলা বিদন নিয়ারে তুম আগমন চাহি লুহ ঝরি গলা আখিরে আখিরে চরণ ধৌত পাই চরণ ধৌত পাই মন বলি কিছু কহি তো পারে না বলি মন বলি কিছু কহি তো পারে না বলি মনে পঞ্চিল তুমকু যাইছি ভুলি মনে পঞ্চিল তুমকু যাইছি ভুলি শিখি ভুলিবার ছবি রূপর সারা মো জীবন পাই শিখি ভুলিবার ছবি रूपर सारा मो जीवन पाई मन कोणी नीति निरेखुथिबे मुदाखि तले चाही मन कोणी नीति निरेखुथिबे मुदाखि तले चाही मुदाखि तले चाही लुह झरी गला आखिरे आखिरे चरण धौत पाई चरण धौत पाई सारा दुनिया रे के केते दिसे सुंदर सारा दुनिया रे के केते दिसे सुंदर तुम्हें तो मधुर सुंदर आखिरे मोरा तुम्हें तो मधुर सुंदर आखिरे मोरा तुम्हें जीवे प्रिया हसी दिखा दिया गोपन मरम रही तुम्हें जीवे प्रिया हसी दिखा दिया गोपन मरम रही शिशिरी मधुरा जुइया निवारा तनु मन सिहराई शिशिरी मधुरा हिरिया निवारा तनु मन सिहराई लुहा झरी गला आखिरे आखिरे चरण धौत पाई मन जली गला वेदना नियारी तुम आगमन चाही तुम आगमन चाही शुभ शंख बाजे मंदिरे तब आजी शुभ शंख बाजे मंदिरे तब आजी घे नाम वंदन नवरचना राजी घे नाम वंदन नवरचना राजी पलकर प्रीति पुलकर ताती खिली जाऊ तनु छुई पलकर प्रीति पुलकर ताती खिली जाऊ तनु छुई जीवन फूल मो फुटी लुटी पड़ू से चारु चरण चाही जीवन फूल मो फुटी लुटी पड़ू से चारु चरण चाही से चारु चरण चाही लुहा झरी गला आखिरे आखिरे चरण धौत पाई मन जली गला वेदना नियारे तुम आगमन चाही तुम आगमन चाही लुहा झरी गला आखिरे आखिरे चरण धौत चरण धौत पाई, चरण धौत पाई। जय।
भावबन्धन मोचन पूज्यवरं नमसे सगुणाधिपतिं भावभीरुजानि सततं वरदं प्रणमामि गुरुं शिवकल्पतरुं प्रणमामि गुरुं शिवकल्पतरुं। सारा जगत स्वरूप तुमर हे सारा जगत स्वरूप तुमर। Guru Swami Nigamananda Paramahansa Sangha, page 10, Radiance of Detachment. Those who are ever vigilant and conscious have nothing to fear on the way. To them, every footstep of truth is crystal clear. There is no darkness in the light of Sattva. The prodigious brilliancy of detachment finds their path of luxuriantly. No doubt, the path is hazardous, but the seekers of truth are the only journers on that path. You have renounced everything for the sake of truth. You should never deviate from that strong resolution. Don't swallow the bottom you have struck. Take care so the whole of life remains shining bright light and unflickering flame till the end of it. Awake that joy.
जय गुरु मुझे नॉइज लगती है।
हाँ नॉइज आसुची बहुत डिस्टर्बेंस होची।
जय गुरु पूर्व दिवस विवरणी नीलाचल सारस्वती संघ कोरी अमेरिका सारस्वत संघ 729 दिवस date August 9, 2020 and 7:50 11:45 Kalya Eva and Discover. Indian Street is available on Amazon. Adivasa Puja was held on August 8, 2020 at Nigam Smruti Mandira with the presence of Hanmatik Pai and Viswajit Bhakti. Class session 7:15 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. The morning session of the Puja started at 7:15 a.m. with Pratikya Gana by Dubai and nearby singing Tumina Setina Koi Kila Mate Dekhe Asiva Boli and Arati Ghena Evan Vandana Ghena. During that time, devotees joined the puja either at NSM or the teleconference. Then Sanuti Bai offered Mangala Arati to Sri Sri Thakur at NSM, followed by Vandana and Prasad led by Gyanbai. Then Gyanbai led the prayer of the company, creative prayer of the pandemic, and then Anubai read Prasad 73.4 Vandana Prasana Party. From Sambhasabhaka, we found that teachers to get divine knowledge path of devotion. We are also reminded about giving up laziness and undue comfort and lead life as actors Sri. After that, Swastikama read Sri Guru Dikta Swapnam. Then Deva invited Sri Thakur for the Balya Baba and all the guys and Maj and aspirants for Balya and to attend second session of the Sangha. The past session was concluded with Jayaguru Manama and then Balya Baba was up to Sri Thakur and Bhais, Maj, young aspirants at Balya. Second session 9:45 a.m. to 11:45. The second session of the Puja started by 9:45 a.m. The Apanga Gana by Pita Baima and Rasmi Chaudhary ma'am. Okay. Koti Bolya and Ki Lohamura Manu Nahi Manu. After Pranamagana and opening of Patan, Gundam Bai, sang of Vandana, here Prabhu Bale, Deva Tumar Sariki, going with Thakur Bai read Nitya chapter brought up. It was followed by minutes of the last Sangha Puja by then Bhadrangala Bai read Premika Guru page 144 to 149. Here Sri Thakur advised adepts to stop Radha Krishna or Sakshi in the power of Vrindavan of their own. A new chapter titled The Mystery of Taja Sadhana was also started. When Janavai sang Prasna Sangita, Saurabh Pashe Mile Nahi Re, Surbai gave Sansarapate Part 1, Chapter 10 on householder service to Sri Gurudev. Then Janavai led the question session and few questions about the young assistant session started with Prasna Sangita by saying Sehi Pataki Diya Sehi Pataki Diya, followed by attendance by Prasna. In this young aspirant session, qualities and attributes and capacity of but the YA session was concluded with Bhagavinam by then cardiac flow performed Bhagavinam Sada, followed by continuous flow of Sadhanapati listening Puja. For the next Sangha Puja, Jemu and Riddhyatai invited Sri Thakur and all Bhakta Vais, Maharaj and young aspirants to be held in August. Then Vishwai begged for forgiveness to Sri Thakur and to all Bhakta Maharaj and young aspirants. Then the second session of the Sangha Puja was concluded by Deva followed by Joypur Namkirtana. And Madhyana Bhoga was offered to Sri Thakur in his room. Then Anavai took attendance of all the Bhaktas and those Bhaktas presented an assent to Madhyana Prasad.
भाई जयगुरु भाई विश्वरंजन भाई टिके समस्त लाइन टा म्यूट कर दे खाली जे पढिबे तांकोटा केम खुली होबो कि ओ डिस्टर्बेंस सुबुनी
हां भाई मैं 10 मिनट चेक करी क्लास करता
किछि सुबुनी
जयगुरु भाई सुना के
that disturbance is still there. I mean, देखो जी किसी disturbance is जोना पड़नी who has it, but we keep looking. Next year or yeah. Sandeep bhai cross
जयगुरु भाई भाई सुना तुम कथा
हाँ
yes and a Pravartak Bhakta that is an outwardly inclined sadhaka converted of Gopi Bhava should worship the Bhagavan as a Sakta outwardly and as a Vaishnava inwardly. The Kulachara sadhana of Saktas according to the Tantric scripture is discussed in my book Tantric book. So I am describing below Sakta Bhava, that is Kulachara sadhana in accordance with the scripture of devotion. Similar to the methods of direct bhajana with honest Chinchita Vishya Siddhaseha in Brajaloka discussed earlier, the methods of direct bhajan of Radha Krishna with sadhaka's physical body associated with gunas is called the Kulachara sadhana. The sadhaka aspirant for Sakhi Bhava should also consider Sri Guru as Vrindavaneshwara, the god of Vrindavan, and any selected woman as Vrindavaneshwari, the goddess of Vrindavan, and any chosen suitable place as Sri Vrindavan, and accomplish direct bhajan with physical body as a Sakhi. One's own married life may be imagined as Radha. However, love with Sakhi Ramani is fluid by nature because of the sense of high-low position and social norm. But the vibrant upsurge of love manifests easily with Paratiya Ramani, that is the other woman other than wife, because social opposition and fear, hatred, social stigma and scriptural restrictions for that woman are demolished within a short time. Especially when any woman is treated as Radha, the Guru of love, she ought to have singular devotion and endeavor to acquire the qualities of a Gopi. So there is an extreme need of a sincere woman as a sadhika. Otherwise, if a sadhaka falls into the company of an ordinary sensual woman, he will ensure his own ruin. Hence, sadhaka has to look for a woman suitable to his nature and spiritual quest. The sadhika Gopi of Chandidas was a Rajakini, namely Srimati Ramani. Chandidas has written no trace of sensuality in Rajakini's physical mold. Self of Kishori see, her love is like pure gold. Her Uriya translation is that Rajakini Rupa Kishori Swarupa Kamo Bandha Nahi Kahi Rajakini Prema Nikasita Hema Bodu Chandidas Upahi. One has to take the shelter of such type of Sadhika Ramani who should be treated as Radha. What will happen then? She is young, obedient and happy, with pleasing manners, noble mind and unique generosity. It thrones Lord in the temple of her heart. She crosses the river of worldly torment. ତାର ଓଡ଼ିଆଟା ହେଲା ଯେଜନ ଯୁବତୀ କୁଳବତୀ ସତୀ ସୁଶୀଳ ସୁମତି ଯାର ହୃଦୟ ମଝିରେ ନାୟକ ଲୁଚାଇ ଭବ ନଦୀ ହୁଏ ପାର. Except the aforesaid woman devoted of Gopi Bhava, all women indulged in amorous relationship with other men are perverted. The perverted women not only drown themselves in unfathomable mire of service of severe vices, but also tempt their companions with ignominy and vice. Therefore, the path of salvation of man in the company of such perverted woman is ever closed, and the path leading to hell is widely open up. Chandidas has said, a perverted woman cannot ferry one on a river, never select her as a spiritual mentor. The touch of her very reflection defiles and destroys spirituality in man. ଓଡ଼ିଆଟା ତାର ବ୍ୟଭିଚାରୀ ନାରୀ ନ ହୁଏ କାନାରୀ ସେନାୟିକା ନ ବାଛିବ ଛାୟା ମାତ୍ର ତାର ପରଶ କରିଲେ ପୁରୁଷ ଧର୍ମ ଯିବ. The woman who engages her body and senses in no other work except Sri Krishna Chandra, who has no other thought except the thought of Leela of Sri Krishna, and who devotes her body and mind and spirit to the love of Shyamsundara, is indeed the suitable companion of sadhaka aspirant for Gopi Bhava. Hence, just as the woman covetous of Gopi Bhava has to emulate the bhava and conduct of a gopi, similarly a man aspirant for Gopi Bhava has also to follow a gopi in thought and act. It is noticed that Vaishnava Babajis of Bengal live with many Vaishnavis, that is female Vaishnava, to perform such bhava sadhana. These Vaishnavis are not survivors of these Babajis, rather they teach them love as Guru, Sri Radhika. If barbarous people falling prey to lust and ambition interfere in the work of the enlightened people, they suffer such state of ignominy. However, devotees interested to attain Gopi Bhava have to select supportive female companions with qualities mentioned in the scripture and congenial to their own spiritual bhava. Afterwards, they will consider her as Srimati Radhika, and such endeavor along with her to serve Sri Gurudeva directly. Just as the Sevakas aspirant for Gopi Bhava will accomplish their Bahiranga Seva, that is external Seva as Sevaka, by physical body with appropriate material. Similarly, they will also serve internally manifest Radha Krishna like Nitya Sakhis with Antastintata Mr. Gopi Deha by appropriate object. On performing sadhana bhakti in this manner, the devotees guna gradually undergo depletion and Antastintata Mr. Gopi Deha is enriched. In the mature stage of love, when the devotee following Gopi Deha is anchored Sadhika Gopi, that is female companion treated as Gopi, completely merged into one in the Siddha Deha in the inner world, they are able to captivate Sri Krishna Chandra with the chain of love in the temple of their heart and merge eternally in the ocean of Nitya Leela like Rasa. Thus, a devotee, by emulating a gopi, acquires the form of the gopi, emerged from love after the extinction of the body associated with guna, and attains the divine company of Sri Krishna in Rasa Leela in Nitya Vrindavan. Vasuli or Vishalakshi Devi has told Chandidasa, "What shall I speak? Says Vasuli to me. On death, a water woman she will be. I shall be Prakriti leaving aside male form. Together in one body we will enter Mr. Dham, satisfying him with seva, serving with betel and water, help of Rupamanjari she attains by clothing him with splendid attire. With love she serves in the Sakhi form and attains Radha Krishna in Brajadham. तर गोटे है बासुरी कहती किस करी मरण पर रजक झील होगी पुरुष छाड़ी मु प्रकृति हेबी एक देखे नित्य लोकरे जीवी सेबारे संतोष करला जेतु श्रीरूप मंजरी लगिला सेतु केबे जल केबे तांबूल दिए श्रीअंगरे केबे बास पिंधाए सखी देह धरी सेवा से कला ब्रजे राधे कृष्ण दुहे लगिला. On performing sadhana in this manner, Siddha Gopidha manifests in a devotee. Then Sadhika Gopi appears as Sri Vrindavaneshwari in his eyes of love, and she is reflected in his own self as the gopis whom he follows. Just as Nitya Sakti accomplished the seva of Brajeshwari through meditation of Radha, focusing all knowledge and love on Radha and being obedient to Radha, similarly, the devotee has to perform the seva of Sadhika Gopi with body, mind and spirit, treating her as the embodiment of Radha. To perform sadhana sincerely devoted to a Naika is termed Kishori Bhajan in our country. How is the Kishori Bhajan complete? In this connection, Chandidas has written Kishori Bhajan. Kishori in walking, Kishori in sitting, Kishori is the garland around me. Bhajan of Kishori, worship of Kishori, the retreat of Kishori is there. In sleep, in dream, in walking, eating, Kishori will unfold. Look this or that side, Kishori everywhere, Kishori pervades the world. That is, Uthile Kishori, Bhastile Kishori, Kishori Galarahara, Kishori Bhajana, Kishori Pujana, Kishori Charana Tara, Ayane Sapane, Gamane Bhajane, Kishori Nayana Tara, Yedike Nirake Kishori into Deke, Kishori Jagatavara. Just as women commit sin keeping illicit relationship with other men, similarly men also commit identical sin by devoting illicit relationship with other women. And the depraved woman indulge in amorous relationship with other man is unworthy of sadhana. In the same way, an immoral man attached to other woman is also unsuitable for sadhana. Hence, men and women endowed with the grace of Gurudev love one another, remain absorbed in the quest of Radha Krishna, and always dwell in the ocean of ecstasies by discussing their sweet divine lila. They imagine to assume the spell of the desired gopi in their heart, and like Brajadevi, they love and serve one another, treating themselves as Sri Krishna. When one always remains devoted to woman, he experiences tremendous urge for probable physical touch and enjoyment. The lusty attachment between man and woman results in desire for sensual enjoyment. Hence, mundane reality anchored to the sensual pleasure cannot transform passionate lust into sacred divine love. So, such type of men and women ready for sensual gratification immolate themselves in the fire of lust and widen the path to hell. In fact, it accomplishes total destruction of man. It spoils spirituality, ensures disability of body and mind, as well as erosion of devotion. And a sadhaka devoted to a naika should serve sadhaka gopi with utmost control over senses. How to serve? Have a bath with loosened hair without touching water, enter the sea without being drenched, have no sorrow and fear, live day night under her control, have rest of love in dream, stay together but do not touch. Her body is bhava deha ended. स्नान जे करू जल न छुईबू मुकुलाई मथा केश समुद्र पशिबू नीरे न चिंतिबू नाही विश्वास क्लेश रजनी दिवसे रही परबसे सपने चाटिबू स्नेह एकत्र रहिबू परसिबू नाही भाविनी भावरते. However, those who like Ramananda Ray have annihilated lust through prema sadhana by controlling sensual passion, completely can behave with a naika as they like. What sort of sadhaka was Ramananda Ray? They are Devadasis and also very beautiful, touching all parts of body, he served them all. After bath, he dresses them with cloth and jewels, touching and spinning even the secret parts. His mind is free from evil thoughts. He also teaches them various bhavas, remains unattached, touching the body of a young woman. his mind, his body, mind unaffected as a piece of wood or stone. Ray Ramananda, thus serving young women, was never prone to any sensual excitement. Such type of devotees with mind is completely free from any sensual aberration, may serve as sadhaka's gopi in any manner he likes. Again, those who keep the majestic of golden arm full of love, feel hungry even on overeating and remain ever engrossed, go on drinking from it day and night with palm full, even being sent, it is doubled as overflow the bowl. रस परिपाटी सुवर्णर घटी रक्ते सम्मुने पुराई खाई खाई तार पेट न भरई शिव कहीं बुढ़ी होई एही रसपान रजनी दिवस अंजलि पुराई खाए खरच कले द्विगुण पड़ती उछुड़ी बाहरी. Those who are able to enjoy love in this manner can serve Gopi with Sangha. Those who have checked the downward movement of semen with the help of Sangha Rasa Sadhana, Sadhaka Gopi can suffer no damage even if they are observed in the Rasira. But it requires sadhana. O reader, the method of sadhana which I have mentioned in essay Nada Bindu Yogi in the chapter Sadhana Kalpa in the book Jnani Guru is called Bindu Sadhana. Yes.
ଆମର ଦୁଇଟା ଜିନିଷ ପଢିଲେ ଦୁଇଟା ଜିନିଷ ଖାଲି ନା ଜାଣିବା କଥା ସେ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ଆମ ପାଇଁ ଯୁଷ୍ଟ ନୁହଁ. ଗୋଟେ ହେଲା କୁଳାଚାର କଥା, ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ହେଲା କିଶୋରୀ ଭଜନ, କିଶୋରୀ ସାଧନା, କିଶୋରୀ ଭଜନ. କୁଳାଚାର କଥାଟା ହେଲା ଦି ଜଣ ତାପରେ ରହିବେ ରାଧାକୃଷ୍ଣ, ଯାହାଙ୍କୁ ଦେଖିକି ତୁମେ ସାଧନା କରିବ. ଶ୍ରୀଗୁରୁଙ୍କୁ ବୃନ୍ଦାବନେଶ୍ୱର ବୋଲି କହୁଛନ୍ତି ମାନେ କୃଷ୍ଣ. ଆଉ ଯେକୌଣସି ଅଭିଯୁକ୍ତ ରମଣୀକୁ ତାଙ୍କୁ ବୃନ୍ଦାବନେଶ୍ୱର ବା ରାଧା ମନେ କରି ପାରୁନି. ଏଥିରେ କ'ଣ ହୁଏ ଯେ ଆଙ୍କ କଥା ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି ରଜକିନୀ କଥା ଚଣ୍ଡୀଦାସଙ୍କର. ତା ଭିତରେ କ'ଣ କି ଯୋଉ ଦି ଜଣ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି ୱାନ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଦେମ୍ ମଷ୍ଟ ବି ସିଦ୍ଧ, ନହେଲେ ହେଇପାରିବନି. ଚଣ୍ଡୀଦାସଙ୍କର ରଜକିନୀ ସିଧା ଥିଲେ. ସେ ରଜକିନୀଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ରାଧା ବୋଲି ଭାବିକିରି ସାଧନା କରିଥିଲେ. ତା ଦେହରେ କୌଣସି ପ୍ରକାର ଫିଜିକାଲ ଆଟ୍ରାକ୍ସନ ନଥାଏ. ଯଦି ଫିଜିକାଲ ଆଟ୍ରାକ୍ସନ ରହିବ ତାକୁ ନଥିଙ୍ଗ ଅଫ୍ ଦିସ୍ ହାପେନ୍ସ, ପତନ ହେଇଯିବ. ସେଇ ଜିନିଷଟାକୁ ଠାକୁର ବାରମ୍ବାର କହିଛନ୍ତି, ସେ 5-10 ଖଣ୍ଡେ ଆଟଲିଷ୍ଟ କହିଛନ୍ତି. ହ୍ୱାଟ ଏଭର ୟୁ ଡୁ, ଫିଜିକାଲ ଆଟ୍ରାକ୍ସନ ରହିଲେ ଏଇ ପ୍ରୋସେସରେ ହୁଏନି. କିନ୍ତୁ ଭକ୍ତି ଧର୍ମରେ ବେଶୀ ଆଲାଉ. ଯଦି ପଳେଇବେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ସନ୍ନ୍ୟାସ ଧର୍ମ ଜ୍ଞାନ ମାର୍ଗରେ ଯିବେ, ଏଗୁଡ଼ା ସବୁ ନାହିଁ. ଚୈତନ୍ୟ କାହାକୁ କେମିତି କୋଉ ମାର୍ଗରେ ଚାଳନା କରିଥିଲେ, ଯୋଉମାନଙ୍କୁ ଇ ମାର୍ଗ ଯାଇ ଯିବେ ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ପ୍ରଥମେ ସେମିତିଆ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରଙ୍ଗ ହେବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ ୱିଥ୍ କ୍ୟାରେକ୍ଟର ସାଇଡ୍. ଯେମିତି ଆମର ତାଙ୍କର ଜଣେ ଥିଲେ ଶିଷ୍ୟ, ସେ ହରିଦାସ, ସେ ଯାଇଥିଲେ କରିବାକୁ କହିଥିଲେ. ପଳେଇଲେ ମାଧବୀ ଦାସଙ୍କ ନେକ୍ସଟ. ମାଧବୀ ଦାସ ତାଙ୍କର ଅଙ୍କର ତାଙ୍କଠୁ ଯାଇ ଭିକ୍ଷା ମାଗିଲେ ବୋଲି ତାଙ୍କର ତୁମକୁ ମୁଁ ତ୍ୟାଗ କରିଥିଲି. ସେ ଯାଇକରି ସମୁଦ୍ରରେ ଯାହା କରିଥିଲେ. କାହିଁକି ନା ପ୍ରାଥମିକ ଅବସ୍ଥାରେ କାହାର ଅଧିକାର ନାହିଁ. ଧୀରେ 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 ଉପରୁ ଉଠିଗଲେ ଦେନ୍ ୟୁ କ୍ୟାନ୍ ମିକ୍ସ ୱିଥ୍ ଅଦର୍ସ. ସେତେବେଳେ ଆଟ୍ରାକ୍ସନଟା ନଥାଏ. କିଶୋରୀ ଭଜନ ଭେରି ସିମିଲାର ଥିଙ୍ଗ. କିନ୍ତୁ ଏଠି କ'ଣ ହେଉଛି, ଦି ଜଣ ମିଶିକି ରହୁଛନ୍ତି, ତାଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ରିଲେସନସିପ୍ ବଢ଼େଇ ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ଭକ୍ତି ମାର୍ଗରେ ଯାଆନ୍ତି. ଏଠି କିନ୍ତୁ କୁହାହେଉଛି ଯେ ଯେମିତି ଜଣେ ସ୍ତ୍ରୀ ଲୋକ ଫିଜିକାଲ ରିଲେସନସିପ୍ ୱିଥ୍ somebody other than the husband is not accepted. Same thing happens with a Puja. They also have a relationship with somebody else that is not accepted either. ये मार्ग जो मान लीजिए, they got to be at that level. रामानंद रायरामଙ୍କର କଥା ତାର ଏକ୍ଜାମ୍ପଲ ଦେଇକି କହିଛନ୍ତି. ରାୟରାମଙ୍କର କୌଣସି ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦିଷ୍ଟ ନାୟିକା ନଥିଲେ, କିନ୍ତୁ ତାଙ୍କର କୌଣସି ପ୍ରକାର ଦାମ ନଥିଲା. ସୋ ହି କୁଡ୍ ଡୁ ଇଟ୍. ତାପରେ ଶୃଙ୍ଗାର ସାଧନା ଅଛି. ଏଇ ଜିନିଷ ଗୁଡ଼ାକ ଭକ୍ତି ଶାସ୍ତ୍ରରେ ଅନୁମୋଦିତ. ଏଇ ମାର୍ଗରେ ସାଧନା କରିକି ଭକ୍ତମାନେ ସିଦ୍ଧି ଲାଭ କରିଛନ୍ତି, କିନ୍ତୁ ସାଧାରଣ ଲୋକଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ଏଇଟା एक्चुअली संसार रे अछंती एमान ପାଇଁ ଏଇଟା ନୁହେଁ। So we'll just stop the discussion here. So we have any questions we'll pick up question and answer. ଯିବା ଆମର ବୃନ୍ଦାବନ ଭାଇ ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ ସହିତ।
जय गुरु। कदम बने से कालिया कन्हू मधुर चोरे बजाए वेणु से कि मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु कदम्ब बने से कालिया कन्हू कि मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु से कि मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु पतर गहळे प्रीतिरसिया देखिले से छवि न जाए मन पतर गहळे प्रीतिरसिया देखिले से छवि न जाए मन से मधुर सुरे बजाए वेणु से कि मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु रंगीमा धरे भंगी देखाई रंगीमा धरे भंगी देखाई रसिक नगर उभालो सही रसिक नगर उभालो सही केड़े मन लोभा श्यामल तनु केड़े मन लोभा श्यामल तनु अदेखारे नीर चरे नयनु अदेखारे नीर चरे नयनु कदम्ब बने से कालिया कन्हू मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु कदम्ब बने से कालिया कन्हू मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु से मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु फूल ठारू तार कोमल देह फूल ठारू तार कोमल देह वज्रठू कठिन तार हृदय वज्रठू कठिन तार हृदय कुहुक पाखरे पंडित जे बने से कालिया कान्हो मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु से मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु भगारी हसरा हसमुख को भगारी हसरा हसमुख को देखी देखो रे पचार देखी देखो रे पचार बरती गीता प्रेम बंधनु बरती गीता प्रेम बंधनु झुरी झुरी क्षीण होई शीतल झुरी झुरी क्षीण होई शीतल कदम्ब बने से कालिया कान्हो मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु कदम्ब बने से कालिया कान्हो मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु से मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु भूलिछि सहिल सकल भूलिछि सहिल पति शाशु गृह संपद पति शाशु गृह संपद भूलिछि सहिल सकल भूलिछि सहिल सकल पति शाशु गृह संपद पति शाशु गृह संपद घास गले जाऊ असार तनु घास गले जाऊ असार तनु अभिलाष श्याम चरण वेणु अभिलाष श्याम चरण वेणु नाच गले जाऊ असार तनु अभिलाष श्याम चरण रेणु अभिलाष श्याम चरण रेणु कदम्ब बने से कालिया कान्हो मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु से मधुर स्वरे बजाए वेणु पतर सिरसिया देखिले से छवि सजाए मनु खाली देखिले से छवि जाए मनु कदम्ब बने से कालिया कान्हू कि मधुर स्वरे जाए बेणु से कि मधुर स्वरे जाए बेणु अभिलाष श्याम चरण रेणु अभिलाष श्याम चरण रेणु।
Joy Guru, Sansarapati Part 1, Chapter 11. With a desire to create the universe, God said, I shall become many or shall take birth. Brahma is termed as Prakarta Chaitanya, the flagrant consciousness. The moment he gets this desire, and his desire is named as Mula Prakriti. This Mula Prakriti is the element for the origin of the universe, which is separated from the eternal Purusha. In Tantrika terms, this Mula Prakriti is termed as Adya Shakti, and in Puranas, the Chaitanya, the consciousness, is termed as Mahavishnu. The authors of Sankhyas depicted it as Prakriti Purusha. The three qualities, Guna, Sattva, Raja and Tama, evolved from Mula Prakriti, the primordial nature. And from these three qualities, Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Maheshwara, the destroyers, were evolved. When Brahma split himself into three units, three layers, that is Lokas, Bhuva, Bhuva and Swa originated, which is also his creation. This subtle power of Brahma is termed as deity. The elements of this world are called a subtle world. The gross world is created with the purification, Panchikarana, of the five basic elements of the world. The subtle and fine parts of each element is called the creator, God of these physical planes. So these five elements, the Panchamabhuta, ether, air, fire, water and earth, are described as five deities, Devatas. When Brahma split himself into three units, from each unit three lokas originated, that is Bhuva and Swaha, which is called as the creation by Brahma. The virtual power of Brahma is called deity. The elements of this world are also called a subtle world. Certainly the subtle portion of the five elements are termed as deities. Any type of material originated in this gross world has its own devatas, but those intrinsic subtle power can only be traced by the unique power of yoga performed by yogis rather than the materialistic scientific way. Within the root of every power in this physical world, there lies Chitta Shakti, Visishta Devata of the subtle world. Every physical thing in this gross world is pervaded by the subtle spiritual influence of the intelligent transcendental power of God. And these gods residing in this subtle world with a subtle power administer the gross world in a discipline, decorum and harmony. Jai Guru.
Good. The discussion time, which question अच्छी बता रहे हैं.
जगह जो दिखे न पसंद में मुद्रा
गला.
ଏଇଟା ତୁମ ପାଇଁ ବୃନ୍ଦାବନ ଭାଇଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ସମସ୍ତ ସଙ୍ଗୀତ ସେବକ ସେବିକା ସାଙ୍ଗ ପାଇଁ ଯେ ଆମର ବିଦ୍ୟା ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା ବୋଲା ହେଉଛି ସକଳ ତ୍ରୁଟି ମୋହର ପରି 12 ଜନ ଦିନନାଥ ସବ ପ୍ରେମେ କର ନିଗମ ସବ ପ୍ରେମେ କର ନିଗମନ ଜିନିଷଟା
ନିମଜ୍ଜନ
ନିଗମନ ପଢା ହଉଛି ନିଗମନ
ନିମଜ୍ଜନ ବୋଲି ମୋର ମନେ ପଡୁଛି ମାନେ ଟ୍ରାଡିସନାଲ ଲେଖିଛନ୍ତି ନିମଜ୍ଜନ ମାନେ ତୁମ ପ୍ରେମରେ ମତେ ବୁଡେଇ ଦିଅ ନିମଜ୍ଜନ
ଭାଇ ସେଟା ନିମଗ୍ନ ହବନି
ସେଇଟା ମୁଁ ଭାବୁଛି ପ୍ରକୃତ ଶବ୍ଦ ନିମଗ୍ନ ହବା କଥା ବୋଲିଲା ବେଳକୁ ବୋଲିବନି ନିଗମନ
ସେଟା ଅପଭ୍ରଂଶ ହେଇଯାଇଛି ବୋଧେ ବୋଲିଲା ବେଳକୁ
ଏଇଟା ଯୋଉ ଇଏ ଗୀତଟା କି ବିଦାୟ ବେଳେ ନିମଗ୍ନ ଲେଖା
ନିମଗ୍ନ
ସକଳ ତ୍ରୁଟି ମୋର କରି ମାରଜନ ପ୍ରେମମୟ ତୁମ ପ୍ରେମ କର ନିମଗ୍ନ।
ଆଚ୍ଛା ବୋଲୁଛନ୍ତି ଭୁଲ ଠିକ ଅଛି
ଭୁଲ ଏଇଟା ଆମ ଖାତାରେ ଭୁଲ ଥାଇପାରେ କହିହବନି ଶବ୍ଦ ବହୁ ପୁରୁଣା ଗୀତ ଲେଖା ହେଇଥିଲା ଖାତାରେ ଖାତା ହେଇଗଲା ତମ
ଭାଇ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଖାତାରେ ନିମଗ୍ନ କି?
ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ କାଲି ଶିବାନୀ ହେଲେ ନିଗମନ ତ କାଲି ଶିବାନୀ
ନିମଗ୍ନ ଲେଖା ହେଇଛି ମୁଁ ନିରାଜନ ନାଇଁ ମୁଁ ଏବେ ଯୋଉଟା ଦେଖୁଥିଲି ସ୍ପେସିଆଲି ନୂଆ ଏଡିସନରେ ବହୁତ ଗୁଡାଏ ତାର ପ୍ରିଣ୍ଟିଂ ମିଷ୍ଟେକ୍ ଆଗରୁ ଥିଲା ତ କରେକ୍ଟ କରିଦେଇଛନ୍ତି ସ୍ପେସିଆଲି ସାଂସ୍କ୍ରିଟ ଶୋକ ଗୁଡାକ ଯୋଉ ଇଏରେ ପଢିବେ ଆମର ସଂଘ ସେବକରେ କେତେ ଗୁଡେ ଜାଗାରେ ଅଛି କେତେବେଳେ ସାଂସ୍କ୍ରିଟ ଶୋକରେ କେତେବେଳେ ଭୁଲ ଅଛି ଯୋଉଟା କି ଆଧରେ ଚେଞ୍ଜ କରିଦେଇଛନ୍ତି ବିଶ୍ୱ ବେଦା ତାକୁ ବିଶ୍ୱ ଦେବା ନା କଣ ଲେଖିଛନ୍ତି କେତେଗୁଡେ ଜାଗାରେ ଲେଖିଛନ୍ତି ଆଧରେ ସହିତ କଥା ହେଇକି କରେକ୍ସନ କରିଛନ୍ତି ବାକି ସବୁଗୁଡା କରେକ୍ସନ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଏନିୱେ ଏନି ଅଦର କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ୍ସ ଏନିବଡି
ଭାଇ ଯୋଉଟା ଆମର ପଢା ହେଲା ଆଜି ସଂସାର ପକ୍ଷରେ ଯୋଉ ବ୍ରହ୍ମଙ୍କର ଭୂର ଭୁବ ସ୍ୱ ତିନି ଭାଗ ହେଇଛନ୍ତି ଆମେ କୋଉ ଭାଗରେ ଅଛୁ?
ଆମେ ତ ଭୂରେ ଅଛେ ନା ପୃଥିବୀ ଲୋକରେ ଅଛି ସ୍ଥୂଳ ଶରୀର ଭୂଲ ଲୋକଟା ସେ ତିନିଟା ଲୋକ କଥା ଏଠି କହିଛନ୍ତି କି କେମିତି 7ଟା ଲୋକ କଥା କହିବେ ଠାକୁର ଏଠି 3ଟି କହିଛନ୍ତି 3ଟି ଭିତରେ ଆମେ ବାରମ୍ବାର ଆତ୍ମଜାତ ହଉଛେ ଜନ୍ମ ହଉଛେ ଯୋଉଟାକୁ ଫିଜିକାଲି ବର୍ଥ ବୋଲି କୁହାହଉଛି ସେଟା ହେଲା ଭୁଲ ତାପରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ମୃତ୍ୟୁ ହେଇଯାଉଛି ସେତେବେଳେ ଆପଣ ଯାଆନ୍ତି ଭୋଗ ଲୋକଟାକୁ 2 ଭାଗରେ ବିଭକ୍ତ କରାଯାଇଛି କେତେ ଲୋକ କେତେ ଲୋକ ତା ଦେହରେ କଷ୍ଟ ଟିକେ ପାଇଲା ପରେ ସ୍ୱଲୋକ ଯାଆନ୍ତି ବା ସ୍ୱର୍ଗ ଲୋକ ସେଠି ଟିକେ ସୁଖ ପାଆନ୍ତି ତାପରେ ତାପର ଉପର ଲୋକଟି ହେଲା ମହଲୋକ ସେଠି ପହଞ୍ଚିଲେ ଯଦି ତାହାର କାମନା ବାସନା ସବୁ ଥାଏ ମୋହ ଥିଲେ ମହଲୋକରୁ ଆଗକୁ ଯାଇପାରିବେ ନାହିଁ ମୋହ ଥିଲେ ମାନେ କାମନା ବାସନା ଥିଲେ ସେଇ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ସୂକ୍ଷ୍ମ ଶରୀରଟା it becomes heavy every layer every step of this locus you get lighter and lighter at that point you are going to be heavier because you have kamana vasana that drags you down after to match them that is the whole process I am saying things in very short form in the long form this is translation that today more government chapter correction dekhini I don't know whether Sanjay has done it गुड़ा खंडे खचड़ा जिनसे लगिला so you have to actually straighten it out
yeah I was also noticing that
भाई एक्सेप्ट चेंजेस बोधे न है कि बोधे ही सही पारे भी कारण
that is also possible
जयगुरु भाई सेटा चैप्टरटा हेई नि माने मु करिनि एडिट
not the other side of it तो opposite purification है शांति करना इनके थोड़े रही issue ଏଇଟାକୁ ଟିକେ ତାର ଲେଖାଟା ବି ମୂଳା ପ୍ରକୃତି ନା ମୂଳା କରିଦେଇଥିଲେ ଭାଇ ତାକୁ ମୂଳା କରିଥାନ୍ତେ ନହେଲେ ମୂଳ ପ୍ରକୃତି କରିଦେଲେ ଭାଇ ତେଣୁ ତାକୁ ପରିଶ୍ରମ କରିବା ମୋ ବଡିଟା ମୁଁ ପ୍ୟାକ୍ କରିଦେଇଛି ଆଉ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଟାଇମ୍ ବି ହେଉନି ସୋ ଆଇ ହାଭ୍ ନଟ୍ ପେଡ୍ ଆଟେନ୍ସନ୍ ସୋ ମେବି ୱାନ୍ ମୋର୍ ୱିକ୍ ଦେନ୍ ୱିଲ୍ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରେଟନ୍ ଇଟ୍ ଆଉଟ୍। ଟିକେ ଆପଣ ଦେଖିଦେବେ ରଖି କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଯଦି ଆକ୍ସେପ୍ଟ କରିକିରି କରିଦେବେ ସୋ ୱି ନୋ ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ୍ ଗୁଡ୍। ଏନି ଅଦର କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ୍? ଆମର ଅଙ୍ଗସେବକ ରହିଯାଇଥିଲା ଗୋଟେ ପେଜ୍ ତାକୁ ପଢ଼ିଦେଉଛି ଆଉ 5 ମିନିଟ୍ ଅଛି। ଦେହର କ୍ଷୁଦ୍ର ତୃଷ୍ଣା ନିବାରଣ ନିମିତ୍ତ ଯେପରି ଖାଦ୍ୟପେୟ ଆବଶ୍ୟକ ସେହିପରି ଆତ୍ମାର କ୍ଷୁଦ୍ର ତୃଷ୍ଣା ନିବାରଣ ନିମିତ୍ତ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା ଏକାନ୍ତ ଆବଶ୍ୟକ ବୋଲି ଜାଣି ଆମ ଦେହଟା ଅଛି ଆମକୁ ଭୋକ ଲାଗୁଛି ସକାଳୁ ଉଠିଲେ ରାତିରେ କ'ଣ ଖାଇଥିବା ବାଥରୁମ୍ ଫାଥରୁମ୍ ନେଇ ଆସିଲା ବେଳକୁ ଭୋକ ଲାଗୁଛି ସେଇଟା କେମିତି ସରିବ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ଖାଇବା ସେମିତି ଆତ୍ମାର ସେମିତି କ୍ଷୁଧା ଅଛି ଆତ୍ମାର କ୍ଷୁଧାଟା ହେଲା ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା ଦ୍ୱାରା ସେଟା ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦିଷ୍ଟ ଶବ ସ୍ତୋତ୍ର ଗୁଡ଼ିକୁ ମନ୍ତ୍ର କରି ଆବୃତ୍ତି କରିବାକୁ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା କୁହାଯାଏ। ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା ଦ୍ୱାରା ଆତ୍ମକ୍ଷୁଧା ନିବାରିତ ହୋଇ ପ୍ରାଣରେ ଶାନ୍ତି ଆସେ। ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା ଦ୍ୱାରା ପବିତ୍ରତା ମାନସିକ ପବିତ୍ରତା ରକ୍ଷା ହୁଏ। ଆମର ପ୍ରାଥମିକ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା ଏପରି ହେବା ଉଚିତ ଯେ ପ୍ରଭୁ ଆମେ ଯେପରି କାୟମନ ବାକ୍ୟରେ ପବିତ୍ର ହୋଇପାରିବୁ ଆମେ ଯେପରି ତୁମର ଶକ୍ତିରେ ଶକ୍ତିମାନ ହୋଇ ତୁମରି କର୍ମ ସମ୍ପାଦନ କରିପାରିବୁ। ଭକ୍ତଙ୍କ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା କୌଣସି ଅନୁଗ୍ରହ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟରେ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତ ହେବା ଉଚିତ ନୁହେଁ। ମୋର ଏଇଟା ଦରକାର ସେଇଟା ଦରକାର ସେ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନାଟା କରିବୁ। ସ୍ୱୟଂ ପରମାତ୍ମାଙ୍କୁ ଲାଭ କରିବା ନିମିତ୍ତ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା କରିବା ଆବଶ୍ୟକ। ଭଗବାନଙ୍କ ମଙ୍ଗଳ ବିଧାନ ପ୍ରତି ଭକ୍ତଙ୍କର ଅଚଳ ବିଶ୍ୱାସ ଥିବା ଆବଶ୍ୟକ। ଜଣେ ଜଣେ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା କରୁଛନ୍ତି ସେ ଜିନିଷଟା ଯେ ଦେଇପାରିବେ ବୋଲି ଯଦି ଆପଣଙ୍କର ବିଶ୍ୱାସ ନାହିଁ ସେ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନାର କିଛି ମୂଲ୍ୟ ନାହିଁ। ଯେତେବେଳେ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା କରୁଛନ୍ତି ମୋତେ ଭକ୍ତି ଦିଅ ଜ୍ଞାନ ଦିଅ ତାଙ୍କ ଭକ୍ତି ଦେବାର କ୍ଷମତା ଅଛି ବୋଲି ଆପଣଙ୍କର ବିଶ୍ୱାସ ଥିବ ନହେଲେ କିଛି ନାହିଁ। ଜଣେ ଯାଇକି ଗୋଟେ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କକୁ ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି ଗୋଟେ ଲୋନ୍ ଆଣିବ ଘରଟି ଯଦି ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କଟା ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କରପ୍ଟ ହେଇଗଲାଣି ଆପଣ ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କରପ୍ଟ ହେଇଛି ଗଲେ କ'ଣ ଲୋନ୍ ମିଳିବ ଲୋନ୍ ମିଳିଲା ହବ ତ ୟୁ ହାଭ୍ ଟୁ ହାଭ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଫେଥ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ତାଙ୍କର ସେ କାପାସିଟି ଅଛି ତୁମର ଇଚ୍ଛା ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ଆଉ ଏହା ହିଁ ଶ୍ରେଷ୍ଠ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା। ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନାରେ ବିନୟ ସମ୍ମାନ ସ୍ୱାର୍ଥହୀନ ଭାବ ଥିବା ଏକାନ୍ତ ଆବଶ୍ୟକ। ତେଣୁ ଭକ୍ତ ମହାତ୍ମ ବର୍ଣ୍ଣନ ପ୍ରସଙ୍ଗରେ ଶାସ୍ତ୍ରକାର ଲିଖିଛନ୍ତି ନାଟ୍ୟଦ୍ଭୁତଂ ଭୁବନ ଭୂଷଣ ଭୂତନାଥ ଭୂତ ଗୁଣୀ ଭୂତି ଭବନ୍ତ ମହିବନ୍ତ ତୁଲ୍ୟା ଭବନ୍ତି ଭବତୋ ନାନୁ ତେନା କିମ୍ବା ଭୂତ୍ୟାଶ୍ରିତଂ ଯ ଇହ ନାତ୍ମ ସମଂ କରତି ସପ୍ତମରସ୍ୟ। ଅର୍ଥାତ୍ ହେ ଜଗତ ଭୂଷଣ ଭଗବାନ ତୁମେ ସମସ୍ତ ଜଗତର ପ୍ରାଣ ସ୍ୱରୂପ ତୁମ ମହାନ ଗୁଣକୁ ଯେଉଁ ଭକ୍ତମାନେ ସ୍ମରଣ କରନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ହିଁ ତୁମର ସ୍ୱରୂପ ପ୍ରାପ୍ତ ହୁଅନ୍ତି। ସୁତରାଂ ଭକ୍ତମାନେ ନିଜକୁ ଭଗବାନଙ୍କର ନିତ୍ୟ ସେବକ ବୋଲି ମନେ କରି ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା ନିରତ ହେବା ବିଧେୟ। ଭଗବାନ ଯେପରି ନିତ୍ୟ ତାଙ୍କ ସେବା ଓ ତାଙ୍କ ସେବକ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେହିପରି ନିତ୍ୟ। ଭଗବାନଙ୍କର ଠାରେ ଅର୍ଥାତ୍ ସମସ୍ତ ବ୍ରହ୍ମାଣ୍ଡରେ ଯେଉଁ ଅନନ୍ତ ଦର୍ଶନ ଅନନ୍ତ ଜ୍ଞାନ ଅନନ୍ତ ସୁଖ ଅନନ୍ତ ଦିବ୍ୟ ବିଦ୍ୟମାନ ମାନବ ଦେହ ଭାଣ୍ଡରେ ଅର୍ଥାତ୍ ଆତ୍ମାରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେଇ ଗୁଣ ବିଦ୍ୟମାନ ଅଛି କାହିଁକିନା ଆତ୍ମା ସହିତ ଆଙ୍କର କିଛି ଡିଫରେନ୍ସ ନାହିଁ ବ୍ରହ୍ମାଣ୍ଡ କିନ୍ତୁ ତାଙ୍କଠାରେ ଉକ୍ତ ଗୁଣ ଆବରଣ ଶୂନ୍ୟ ହେତୁ ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ଭାବରେ ବିରାଜିତ ଆତ୍ମାଙ୍କର ଆବରଣ ହେଇଛି ତେଣୁ ସେଇଟା ସେ ଜଣାପଡ଼ୁଛି। ସୁତରାଂ ଆତ୍ମାରେ ଆବରଣିତ ହେଇଥିବାରୁ ତାହାକୁ ଅଂଶ ଭାବରେ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତ ପାଏ। ଆମେ ଜୀବାତ୍ମା ସେ ପରମାତ୍ମା ତେଣୁ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନାକାରୀମାନେ ସ୍ୱରୂପ ଜ୍ଞାନରେ ପ୍ରତିଷ୍ଠିତ ରହି ଶ୍ରୀ ଗୁରୁଦେବଙ୍କ ଆଦେଶ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନାରେ ଯୋଗ ଦେବା ଦରକାର। ଶ୍ରେଷ୍ଠ କଥାର ଗୀତଟି ଅଛି ଆମର ଆଜିର ସମସ୍ୟା ସରିଲା କପଲ ମିନିଟ୍ ବଢ଼ିଆ No, so everything is clear, so we are not getting any questions. So, young aspirant session maybe 30 seconds from now. So, let's just move to young aspirant sessions. Shreya Siro, Saraswata Sangha, Shreya Siro. Hopefully we didn't mute them. Both mute karutili because that noise was coming from NSM. Finally, NSM taku isolate karike NSM is currently muted.
Jai Guru. Manar Thakura Aji Man Katha Yena Kara Manar Thakura Aji Man Katha Yena Kara Manar Thakura Kahidi boli akuha rahichi mara kahidi boli akuha rahichi mara Manara Thakura Aji Mana Katha Jena Kara Manara Thakura Aji Ayunana Mana Jana Maguna Jivadana Ayunana Mana Jana Maguna Jivadana Vikari Hridaya Nidhi Charana Charana Kara Vikari Hridaya Nidhi Charana Charana Kara Manara Thakura Aji Man Katha Jena Kara Manara Thakura Ji Suna Mana Mohana Mudati Vayanayana Suna Mana Mohana Mudati Vayanayana Nagakana Kamatama Nirekho Hivamadara Nagakana Kamatama Nirekho Hivamadara Manara Thakura Aji Man Katha Jena Kara Manara Thakura Aji Mukha Deva Mukha Mara Kanthare Nasiba Sumra Mukha Deva Mukha Mara Kanthare Nasiba Sumra Hirasana Ratuti Tumari Namage Bala Hirasana Ratuti Tumari Namage Bala Manara Thakura Aji Man Katha Jena Kara Manara Thakura Aji Nuharai Chetana Karuthi Valindana Tanu Harai Chetana Karuthi Valindana Arupa Swarupa Tava Tene Hoi Jara Jara Arupa Swarupa Tava Tene aji. Kahidi kahidi boliya harati mora. Kahidi kahidi boliya harati mora. Manara Thakuraji Manakatha Jena Kara Manara Thakuraji. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru, young aspirants. This is Bhakti. I will start off by taking attendance, and then after that, I will ask Shreyasi to explain the meaning of the song she just sang. Aditi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Adiyasa? Jai Guru. Aishi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Anik?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Ansh?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Anshu? Anshu?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Arnav?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Aram?
Jai Guru. Aru seven Aram. What's in Adna?
Jai Guru. Aryan?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Jemu?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Prakash? Devangi? Devangi? Devyam?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Divyans? Timmy?
Tim is coming.
Eva?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Jagrat?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Naitik?
Jai Guru Ma.
Jai Guru. Pratisha? Pratisha? Pratish?
Jai Guru Ma.
Jai Guru. Sanvi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Saraswat?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Sarthak?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Bobby?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Shruti?
Shruti is coming.
Okay, Jai Guru. Shreya?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Shreyasi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Shriyans?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Siddharth? Simran?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Shrija?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Suhani?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Yukta?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. So is there anyone I missed in attendance, or we're all good? Okay, so Shreyasi, can you explain the meaning of the song that you just sang?
Jai Guru. The song is saying that I have a lot to say, but words will not justify what they want to say, so I'm expressing my feelings and have to understand the feelings and emotions of devotees very well. I'm not asking for love, fame, or respect. All I want is you and to be with you. I want to see you even though my eyes are closed, and I want to speak to you even though I can't say a word. I want to feel you with all of my inner senses, and to feel and realize Him. Please accept my heart and prayer. Jai Guru.
Yeah, that was a really good meaning of the song. Like with our mind, we can do a lot of different things, and that is something that ties into what we're talking today. So today we'll be continuing our discussion about the 8 limbs of yoga. And so last month we talked about asana and pranayama, which were the 3rd and 4th limbs of yoga. And so this means that now we are halfway through discussing and learning about these 8 limbs. So we've covered yamas, niyamas, asana, and pranayama. And as we will see today, the focus of the upcoming limbs of yoga changes. So earlier, a lot of things that we were talking about were things that you can do in your environment or to someone or with someone or just outside by yourself, whereas a lot of things now are more internal, and the mind will be a lot more involved in practicing these limbs of yoga. Today we'll be talking about pratyahara and dharana, which are the 5th and 6th limbs of yoga. And pratyahara means withdrawal of the senses. And I want to ask Eva to give us a short introduction to pratyahara. Eva, whenever you're ready.
Jai Guru. Pratyahara is the 5th limb in the 8 limbs of yoga. Pratyahara is derived from the Sanskrit roots prati, which means away or against, and ahara, which means nourishment or food. The whole word means withdrawal of the senses. Pratyahara is considered important in yoga because it forms a bridge between the external focus of the previous limbs of yoga and the internal focus of the subsequent limbs. When the senses are withdrawn, they become absorbed in the mind itself, rather than engaging the mind with the external environment. It is said that it allows the practitioner to experience its true inner self. It allows the mind to become peaceful so that good concentration and meditation can be developed. It is said that once someone masters pratyahara, they will never again experience distraction and need to withdraw from the world in order to meditate. They will simply be able to turn their senses inward. There are 4 types of pratyahara. Indriya pratyahara, which is the control of the senses. Prana pratyahara, which is the control of vital energy or prana. Karma pratyahara, the control of action. And mano pratyahara, withdrawal of the mind. The most important of the 4 types of pratyahara is considered to be the indriya pratyahara. The senses direct the mind in what to do, so we must learn to discipline the demands of the senses and quiet the mind. The best way to learn this discipline is to refrain from sensory impressions. For example, taking time off TV, electronic devices, and social media. Another common practice of indriya pratyahara is bringing attention inwards towards your breathing and observing it without trying to control it. Prana pratyahara is the sense. In prana pratyahara, the senses are directed towards prana, vital energy that drives the senses, which is gathered and then withdrawn. The control of our senses requires the mastery of the flow of prana. This is done through various practices, including bringing the entire focus to a single point in your body. Karma pratyahara is the control of action. Happiness results when the need from the physical world is no longer there. So when we act to help and serve as opposed to desiring rewards and goods, we are practicing karma pratyahara. Practicing mano pratyahara is to withdraw the mind from intake of impressions. Senses are perceived wherever the mind is focused. The focus of mano pratyahara is to focus on controlling the mind, which is practiced by consciously withdrawing attention from anything that is distracting for the mind, like withdrawing attention from the senses, and then directing it inward.
Jai Guru. Eva, that was a great explanation of pratyahara. There are many different types of pratyahara that can be practiced. I will start off by reading an excerpt from Yogi Guru, which is written by Sri Thakura. Pratyahara, withdrawal. To practice pratyahara is more difficult than pranayama. Obedience of the sense organs to chitta, subconscious mind, by withdrawing themselves from their acceptable objects without being deformed is called pratyahara. Indriyas normally run after objects of enjoyment. To disengage them from these objects of enjoyment is called pratyahara. Indriyas are controlled by the practice of pratyahara. A yogi practicing pratyahara brings own nature to the control of his chitta and consequently achieves supreme stability. It also controls external nature. So, like Eva said, there's different types of pratyahara, and one of the types is indriya pratyahara. So, indriya refers to like different senses. So, some of the senses can be cognitive or jnanendriya, which bring information to us through our sense organs, like our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth, and skin, or touch. And there is also karma indriya, which also allows us to act on information that we perceive through our speech, our movement, how we manipulate things, and bodily processes. And so without a disciplined mind and having the correct understanding, it can be easy to get distracted from our uncontrolled senses. So instead of deciding what to pay attention to and then acting on that, having an undisciplined mind can be easily distracted and like be more focused on like desires and wants instead of needs. So if the senses are not properly controlled, then we may think more in the short term than in like current gains versus thinking about what should we do for the long term. So like in some of the examples Eva gave, like sometimes we can do, like when studying, we can get distracted and just be on our phone instead of like focusing on the task at hand. So pratyahara doesn't necessarily mean that you don't think of anything or have a blank mind. It's more about having a well-focused and well-controlled one. So pratyahara exercises require you to have concentration and the ability to focus on how we react to the world. And so like Eva mentioned, pratyahara is kind of like a transition step into the next few limbs of yoga as we move from like external factors to internal state. So with that, does anyone have any questions right now? Okay then, I can ask a few questions. So the first question I want to ask, have you ever tried withdrawing from any of the senses that we had just discussed? Or have you tried controlling a sense and practicing pratyahara? And if you have, how would you describe your process of doing that? Okay then, I can ask Adyasa. Have you ever tried controlling any of like your senses in this way?
Yes, but I didn't do it because I knew what pratyahara was. I just did it because I just wanted to improve, self-improvement. I've tried healthy eating. Well, I'm doing healthy eating right now, and also I'm trying to lower my screen time. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes we can be practicing these things without knowing what they actually are, knowing the terminology for them. So that's a really good point that you made, Adyasa. And healthy eating is also important because if we eat unhealthy food, then our body won't be healthy enough to do what we need to do in our daily lives and to improve ourselves. So yeah, that's really important. I want to ask the same question to Jemo. Have you ever tried withdrawing from a sense out of the senses that we talked about, or controlling any senses?
I'm not, along with what Alyssa said, I also, I'm trying to control what I eat and stuff like that?
When you're studying, do you try to stay focused by doing different things? Like, do you have ways to stay focused?
Yeah, so like when I'm at my desk, I try to focus on like the task at hand instead of doing multiple things at the same time.
Good. Yeah, like a lot of ways to practice pratyahara can be to have like a list of tasks and like stay focused on whichever one you want, so then you're not distracted by other things that can get your attention. Yeah, that's right. Sometimes, like if I really want to study something and I'm listening to music, I do something instrumental, so I'm not distracted by the words in the music. Another question I had is, why can it be hard to practice pratyahara? Bobby, do you want to answer this question?
Jaiguru, I think it would be hard to practice pratyahara because it takes a lot of like discipline and knowing what you're like trying to control, and it takes time, and you have to be patient with it.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. This takes time. It's not something that can be done overnight. It takes a gradual step to be able to realize that what can be distracting and how to overcome it, and also figure out what you need to do this. Next, now that we've talked a lot about pratyahara, we've talked about like how distraction is often a thing and how the senses have to be controlled. So this really ties in with the next limb of yoga, which is called dharana, which means concentration. So for this, I would like to ask Aryan to give a short introduction. Aryan, whenever you're ready.
Jai Guru. So I'll give a brief introduction to dharana, which is the sixth limb out of the 8 total limbs on the path of yoga. And what dharana means is just the total concentration of the mind. It's about fixing the mind to one specific point. So it could be something internal, like a part of the body, or it could be something external, like a picture, a statue, or some other object. But it's really not, what's not important is what we're focusing on. The purpose is to quiet the mind with total concentration. And what happens when we focus the mind so intensely into one point is that the rest of the mind tends to quiet down. So when we practice this total concentration, what happens is that there's less room for other thoughts and memories and planning that the mind tends to stay busy with. Dharana is connected to the next step, which is dhyana, meditation, and we have to be able to concentrate the mind before we can move on with the next path of yoga. And by mastering dharana, we can move towards dhyana, meditation, and finally samadhi, which is union with the whole. So I'll talk a little bit about how we can practice dharana. So when you practice dharana, you have to find a comfortable sitting position and one that's not uncomfortable, that doesn't take too much effort to stay in. When your muscles start pulling or the legs start twitching, the mind tends to follow the sensations and you can easily lose concentration. So you want to find a seating position that you can stay in comfortably for a long time. You can choose to close your eyes and focus on something within you, or focus your mind on a picture, an object in front of you. And you have to imagine giving your mind the freedom to roam around, but in a very restricted area. Your mind is free to explore within the limits that you set, and as you progress, the area of your concentration can become smaller and smaller. So now I'll talk about the benefits of dharana. So when we practice dharana, the mind is peaceful. So we can strengthen the mind by focusing on one area and practicing control of the mind. The mind is sort of like a muscle that we can train. It's not beyond our control that the thoughts just come and take us away with them. So we are in control, and dharana is one way we can practice this control of the mind. When you practice dharana, you'll find that the general concentration in different areas of life becomes easier. So you can study without the mind continuously running from here to there while you are trying to concentrate on one thing. Practicing dharana helps focus and quiet the mind on the way to meditation. And this is really important because modern life demands a lot from our focus. It's constantly fast-paced. We're jumping from one activity to another, from emails to social media to TV, and it makes the mind sort of restless. And we start to get used to constant distractions, and old-fashioned focus tends to get lost. So it's pretty important to integrate practicing dharana into your daily life by concentrating just one thing at a time. And this can be when you're eating, don't browse the internet, just focus on your food. Or when you go out for a walk, don't talk or don't be on your phone and just focus on the walking. And by practicing dharana, we can regain control of our minds from the fast pace of modern life. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru, and that was a great introduction to dharana. You said, dharana means concentration, and it really has to do with how we focus on one thing at once. And it really depends on practicing pratyahara, because dharana builds upon this it builds upon pratyahara by taking all the senses that can be distracting and really making it like a single point of focus. So I'll read an excerpt about dharana from Yogi Guru. Right now, dharana, concentration. To confine chitta, or the mind, to a particular place or object is called dharana. It means to fix chitta, or the mind, to soda, 16 receptacles described earlier, or to the nature of any god or goddess, is known as dharana. By relinquishing the thought of various worldly matters, if anyone endeavors to fix mind to a definite object, his mind will be gradually channelized into one direction. When dharana becomes stable, it will turn into the seventh component of yoga. So that was the excerpt from Yogi Guru. Dharana is, like Aryan said, is a stepping stone right before the next step, which is dhyana. And with this, I was reminded of a story that I read as a kid. It was in the Mahabharata. So in this, Arjuna is a student, and he's in a class with his brothers and cousins, and they are all learning archery. So his teacher Drona, what he did is he has a contest basically going on. He's teaching them a lesson, and so what he has is he has a wooden bird in a tree placed high, and he tells the students that the eye is their target. So he calls each student up one by one and asks them to take their turn to shoot at the target, which is the eye of the bird. So the first student he asks he asks him a question. So he says, what do you see right now? And so the student says, I see you, my teacher, the tree, the sky, and all who have gathered around. And so then the teacher, Drona, stops him and asks a few more students to come up to shoot at the target and ask them the same question. What do you see right now? They all give similar answers about how they see their surroundings. And then after that, at the very end, the teacher, Drona, asks Arjuna to come and aim at the target. So when he asks Arjuna the same question, what do you see right now? Arjuna says, I see the eye of the bird. Then Drona says, don't you see anything else? Then Arjuna says, I see only the eye of the bird. So in the end, Drona teaches them a lesson saying that Arjuna only had his eyes set on his goal, the eye of the bird, whereas everyone else had their eyes set on everything around them. So this really ties into dharana, because the whole purpose is to have a single point of concentration and focus on what you're doing. So it can be really helpful when we're doing different tasks. So I want to ask, does anyone have any questions about dharana? Okay then, I will move on to asking you all questions then. Sarthak, what are some things that you would want to focus your concentration on right now? And how can you practice dharana?
I probably would want to focus my concentration on time management and stuff. because school's coming up and virtual learning is very distracting at my house because I'm always on my phone during class. So I can achieve that by probably like blocking out time during which I should try to achieve a specific task.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I think for most of us, going back to school, like we probably all would have to concentrate on our education and studies. So that's a really great answer, Saraswati. And since typically, I'm guessing in a normal school setting, students were not allowed to have our phones out while learning. Whereas at home, it's easy to do that. So there's a lot of different ways, like Saraswati said, to help control the time spent on other devices. So, like I think phones, they have like screen time limits during the daytime or control times on apps, which can be really helpful. Next, I want to ask Eva, how would practicing Pratyahara help in practicing Dharana?
Jai Guru. Well, in Pratyahara, when you like focus on one thing, like withdrawing your senses, it can also like after that it can help you focus like on concentration, like in Dharana.
Yep, that's right. That's a great answer. Yeah, that's very nice. My next question is, how can practicing pranayama help in practicing dharana? Does anyone want to answer this question? Shreya?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. How can practicing pranayama help in practicing dharana?
I think it can help because when you're trying to control your breath, it requires a lot of concentration. You're focusing on achieving that particular goal. So I think directing your focus to something like that is helpful to be able to achieve that concentration on a particular thing. Jai Guru.
Yeah, that's a wonderful answer. Pranayama really requires, in order to do it properly, it does require this level of focus. So now, with what Saraswati said about how dharana can be really entwined with school and different activities, I have a question for, I'm looking up to all young aspirants. So how can dharana help you as a student or any of your other hobbies or activities that you've done? I want to first ask Ansh.
Thank you. I think dharana would help me in a ton of exercises and extracurricular activities because sometimes I can get out of focus whenever I'm swimming, like for example, and then like I'm talking to my friends, and then if I can do dharana, then I can focus on what the coach is saying and be able to do swimming better.
Yeah, that's very nice. Swimming is like an activity that I definitely have to focus on because you're underwater and like you have to focus on breathing and like doing the strokes properly. So there's a lot of different activities that like dharana can be helpful with. And so next I want to ask Tracy. How can dharana help you as a student or in any of your hobbies activities? So this can be like sports, like Ansh mentioned, music, dance, chess, or like even taking a test.
Jai Guru, well, doing anything you need to focus to get the work done successfully and efficiently. So dharana can help you get the work done successfully and efficiently. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Next, I want to ask Aditi, how can dharana help you as a student or in any of your extracurricular activities?
Jaguru, Dharana can help you as a student because it can help your concentration and focus better. And when you're doing like an extracurricular activity, it can make you focus on that one thing and your mind won't wander into other things. Jaguru.
Yeah, that's a great answer, Aditi. Does anyone else want to answer this question? How Dharana can help you as a student or in any of your activities?
Jaguruma, this is Shrita. Concentration helps us so we can do it perfect. Jaguru.
Jaguru, that's very nice. So now I think we are at time for this young aspirant session. So like we said, Pratyahara and Dharana are two of the 8 limbs of yoga. So they are kind of a bridge to the next 2 limbs of yoga. And they really tie together because they have to do with our focus and our mind and our ability to concentrate. And like we've talked a lot in this session about like how it can help us in school, and practicing this can also help us, I guess, when we pray and not remember chakra. So with this, I would like to end the Y session and move on to Bhava Vinamaya by Jamu.
Jai. Today I am lucky to get a chance to say my Bhava Vinamaya. Thakur has helped me in many aspects of my life. I've been reading his books during the evening pujas and they have taught me so much. For example, a few days ago, Thakur talked about how many self-proclaimed gurus spread limited knowledge. As a result, people don't even know who and why they are worshipping. I find this very interesting as I didn't realize that many people are praying to a sort of false presence. Yesterday, I also learned how it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor when it comes to education and cleanliness, which includes both physically and mentally. There are many other lessons that I look forward to learning from Thakur. Tomorrow will be the first day of my sophomore year of high school. I will be taking harder classes, which includes a much larger workload. I won't be able to interact with my teachers like I did last year, which will make things more difficult. I'm a bit nervous, but I know that Thakur is there to guide me through tough times to give me the motivation and blessings to succeed. Thakur has always been there for me, whether it is for my studies or just my daily life. I pray to Thakur every morning and evening because I want to find out how to be a good person and how to live a happy and successful life. Even when my life has been hard, Thakur always was by my side through all of it.
Jai Guru. आज मोर भावना सभा पाड़ी एटे एबे संसार रे चलती सब बड़े प्रॉब्लम सब आड़े एटे जेमति विपद मारी आसला बड़े असुविधा चलती किंतु बेबी भाई भाभी सुविधा से आज्ञा भाई सुबुनी हेलो
न्यूट्रिशन दिवस भाई सुन कर दी
जय
ये भी बात भाई
जय गुरु
अभी आसन मंदिर कोशिश सुना जाउची तो आसन मंदिर से अछन कि आज्ञा Oh, sadly, Asana Mandira was muted because there was constant problems from there. Vishwendra, Asana Mandira के ऑनलाइन करते हैं कि मोर कंप्यूटर टा लोड करे को टाइम लगे.
हेलो
हां कौन
जय गुरु आज मोर पाळी सेवा भाभी में आ सब बड़े खुशी लगे आसन मंदिर बहुत किसी ना भी दीटा फैमिली तो एटलिस्ट रोटी सामने इनक्लूड करी संसार एत प्रोब्लेम चलती सब इच्छा करी आसी पार्न से आसन मंदिर कि आसन से फिलअप भी हो पारे जहाँ ठाकुर कृपा सानजित भाई सब वीकेंड आसी पार्टी ठाकुर कृपा तो एथर भी बहुत कम भक्त कि ठाकुर सेवा कर चली पार्टी आमर गोटे सबुठ बड़ जिन हूँ भर्चुआल संघ हिसाब से समस्ते फोन माध्यम जॉइन कर भी ठाकुर गोटे आम बहुत बड़ कृपा केमिति पुणी नॉर्मल शेड्यूल को केमती आसो ठाकुर केवे तार व्यवस्था करेंगे आनी आसन मंदिर जमी आगुरी जमी आसपारे समस्ते सम्मेलन हो पाला सेमती ठाकुर कृपा करने से ठाकुर पारे प्रार्थना आउ बेसी किसी कहीपनि ठाकुर तुम पाखे सब मन था आम आप सब आमको धरिक जय गुरु जय गुरु आज श्री ठाकुर महाराज आपन को पूजा सरला मध्याह्न भोग निमंत्रण रहा आज संध्या 6:30 आप संध्या पूजा निमंत्रण जय गुरु
प्राण ठाकुर भाई बा यंग आश्रम मैंने आमर नेक्स्ट संघ पूजा अगस्ट 23 अनुष्ठित हम समस्त को निमंत्रण जनाऊँ सेवारे माने पूजा जोगदे पूजा साफलमंडित कर मत सेवार सुजोग देवे जय गुरु
Jai Guru, I invite Sri Sakaram Maharaj, Vice Mass and young aspirants for next YA session to be held on August 23rd. Jai Guru.
जय गुरु ठाकुर महाराज आज पाली सेवा थिबा भाई माँ मैंने एठी मंदिर थिबा भाई माने आमर आज तो बहुत किसी जानतर अजाणतर भूल किसी हो सब भी ठाकुर आमको क्षमा करते जय गुरु
जय तीनों नाथो परे त्रिचरणी दीननाथ परे त्रिचरणी अब कथा रखिथिबि मनने मरणी देव अब कथा रखिथिबि मनने मरणी बाहरे की तेरा नहीं न करी सोचना बाहरे की तेरा नगरी तो चना परिबी प्रथमे निज स्वभाव मार्जना देव करिबी प्रथमे निज स्वभाव मार्जना परदोष खोजी भूली न थाइब मन
পদ খোজি বুলি নথাইব মন লাগিছিবি সদা কৰি আত্মসংশোধন দেব লাগিছিবি সদা কৰি আত্মসংশোধন বচনে আলাপে হেউ রসনা সংযত বচনে আলাপে হেউ রসনা সংযত ঘুঞ্চি যাও অবসাদ দেহর জড়ত দেব ঘুঞ্চি যাও অবসাদ দেহর জড়ত উচিত ভাষণে নহু কিছু অন্তরায় উচিত ভাষণে নহু কিছু অন্তরায় তথা কর্ম হেউ চিত সুধীর সহায় দেব যথা কর্ম হেউ চিত সুধীর সহায় নিরলস ভাবে তব আদেশ পালন নিরলস ভাবে তব আদেশ পালন କରିଯିବି ହେଉ ତହିଁ ପ୍ରାଣର ସ୍ଫୁରଣ ଦେବ କରିଯିବି ହେଉ ତହିଁ ପ୍ରାଣର ସ୍ଫୁରଣ ନ ମାନିବି କାହିଁ କେଉଁ ବାରଣ ବନ୍ଧନ ନ ମାନିବି କାହିଁ କେଉଁ ବାରଣ ବନ୍ଧନ न मानिबी कहीं क्यों बारण बंधन न मानिबी कहीं क्यों बारण बंधन जहीं थारे रही थाऊ तब पदे मन देव जहीं थाए रही थाऊ तब पदे मन देव जहीं थाए रही थाऊ तब पदे मन जय गुरु 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 जय गुरु
जय गुरु जय